Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into another deep dive with us? Today we're going to be taking a look at BlockDAG.
Yeah, they claim it's the next evolution of blockchain tech. Pretty big claims. They've got their white paper here and break it down.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it's not just hype and buzzwords. They make a pretty compelling case for why we need something better than what we've got.
Totally. They start by laying out all the issues with traditional blockchains, like they're not holding back.
Right. They're not afraid to say, hey, we love blockchain, but it's got some serious limitations. And they hit the nail on the head with the first one, scalability.
It's the classic problem, isn't it? Too much traffic, not enough lanes on the highway, everything slows to a crawl.
Exactly. They call it out as a major bottleneck. It's
Yeah.
like trying to cram a whole city's worth of cars onto a single lane road. Not pretty.
And the real-world impact is huge. Slow transaction speeds, high fees because everyone's fighting to get their transactions prioritized. It prices a lot of people out of the game.
Totally. So scalability is a biggie.
Yeah.
They also go into low transaction throughput, basically how many transactions can be processed every second.
Which is another major pain point for existing blockchains. They just can't keep up.
Yeah, like trying to squeeze a whole day's worth of work into an hour. And then, of course, there are the delays in confirmation times.
Ugh, don't even get me started. You mean I have to wait how long for this transaction to go through?
Right, like who has time for that? Especially in today's world where everything's got to be instant.
Totally. And all because traditional blockchains need multiple confirmations for a transaction to be considered secure. I mean, it adds a layer of security, but at what cost?
Exactly. Imagine waiting like hours for a simple online purchase because the network is jammed. Not exactly the seamless experience we're all looking for.
Nope, not even close. And then there's the whole privacy thing.
Oh, yeah. They bring up some interesting points about how public transaction data is on a lot of blockchains.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people. If anyone can just peek into your transaction history, it kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Totally. Especially for businesses or anyone dealing with sensitive info. Not exactly ideal.
Not at all. And then they hit us with another hot topic, energy consumption. All those computers crunching numbers to mine new blocks.
Yeah, not exactly eco-friendly. Talk about a carbon footprint.
It's a valid concern, and thankfully it's something BlockDAG claims to address with their whole proof of engagement model.
Which we will definitely be diving into. But yeah, it's refreshing to see a blockchain project that's like, hey, we see the environmental impact. We're trying to do something about it. Okay, so they've laid out all the problems pretty clearly, but now for the exciting part. How are they actually going to fix it? How does BlockDAG actually work?
Well, this is where things get seriously cool, actually. It's a super interesting approach. They're combining blockchain tech with something called Directed Acyclic Graphs, or DAGs.
Okay, a hybrid approach. Interesting. Two for the price of one. So, like, blockchain and DAGs had a baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they took the best parts of both and mashed them together. Remember we were talking about the highway analogy earlier with scalability?
Yeah, too many cars, not enough lanes, total gridlock.
Right, so picture this. BlockDAG is like, instead of adding more lanes to that highway, they're creating a whole network of interconnected roads. Transactions can flow freely, no more bottlenecks.
Okay, I'm kind of visualizing it. So, multiple routes to the same destination, which means more transactions can get processed at the same time.
Exactly, that's how they achieve that higher throughput. But, and this is important, they still needed a way to keep everything secure and make sure everyone agrees on which transactions are legit.
Right, got to maintain that consensus, otherwise it's just chaos.
Yeah, and that's where this super cool thing called GhostDAG comes in.
GhostDAG. Sounds kind of spooky. Is that like the traffic cop in this whole interconnected highway system?
Yeah, you got it. It's like a really, really smart traffic management system. Basically, it prioritizes certain transactions over others, making sure things run smoothly and securely, even with everything happening in parallel.
Okay, so it's like this constant race to build on the most trustworthy chain, and that's how they maintain consensus, even with all this parallel processing going on.
Exactly. It's a really clever way to solve the scalability problem without sacrificing security.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So, no more bottlenecks, faster transactions, what else?
They claim to have pretty much solved the confirmation time issue, too.
Wait, really? So no more waiting around for ages for a transaction to go through?
Yeah. They're talking about near instantaneous confirmation times, like seconds.
Wow, that's a game changer. But what about the privacy concerns we were talking about earlier? How does BlockDAG handle that whole public ledger thing?
That's another area where they've made some really interesting innovations. One of the key things about BlockDAG is that transactions don't have to be broadcast to the entire network. They can be targeted which enhances privacy.
So it's more like sending a private message than shouting it from the rooftops. I like it.
Plus, it reduces the load on the network, making everything even more efficient.
This all sounds amazing. Are there any downsides?
Well, like any new technology, it has its limitations. For one, this GhostDAG thing, as cool as it is pretty complex, which means it might be a challenge to implement and maintain, especially in the beginning.
Right. Sometimes simpler is better.
Yeah, and like we were discussing earlier about trust, BlockDAG still relies on the honest majority assumption.
Right. That most people are going to play by the rules.
Exactly. So while they've made some amazing breakthroughs, there are still some inherent challenges. It'll be interesting to see how they address them moving forward.
Totally. But even with those challenges, it seems like they're onto something really groundbreaking.
Okay.
Okay, we've covered the tech side, but now let's talk tokens. The white paper goes into this whole BlockDAG coin thing, DDAG.
Right, BDG, it's their native cryptocurrency, the fuel for this whole ecosystem.
So like gas for our super efficient blockchain highway.
Exactly. You use it to pay transaction fees. And given how fast and cheap transactions are supposed to be on BlockDAG, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, imagine near instant microtransactions with tiny fees. That opens up a world of possibilities.
Totally. And for the folks securing the network, they've got staking. You can stake your BDAG, earn rewards, and help keep everything running smoothly.
Okay, so passive income while supporting the network. Got it. But can you actually do anything with BDAG besides staking and fees?
Absolutely. They're talking about using BDIG for peer-to-peer transactions, like actual digital cash within their ecosystem.
Wow, cutting out the middleman completely.
Yeah.
I like it. But they're not stopping there. This is where things got really interesting for me. They're building a low-code, no-code platform on BlockDAG.
Right. How cool is that? They want to make it super easy for anyone to build on BlockDAG, even if you're not a coding wizard.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too. It's like they're democratizing blockchain development. So how does it work?
They're keeping some details under wraps, but they mention a drag-and-drop interface, pre-built modules, that sort of thing, like building blocks, but for blockchain apps.
I love that. So much easier than wrestling with lines of code. And speaking of cool applications, they mentioned this proof of engagement mobile app. Mining crypto just by using your phone.
It's a really interesting concept, and they seem to be addressing the whole energy consumption issue head-on.
Because let's be real, nobody wants an app that's going to drain their battery in 5 minutes.
Exactly. They claim they've designed it to be super lightweight. You can earn crypto passively, just going about your day, using your phone normally.
Okay, I'm listening. But this all hinges on BDAG's value, right? Which brings us to tokenomics. Thankfully, they dive into that in the white paper.
Yeah, they lay it all out. Total supply is capped at 150 billion BDAG. And to tackle inflation, they've got a halving mechanism built in.
Like Bitcoin. So every year, the rate of new BDAG created gets cut in half. Makes sense.
Yep. They've also broken down the initial allocation, how much goes to pre-sale, miners, the community, and so on. Seems like they've put a lot of thought into it.
It does. But we got to be real for a second. This all sounds amazing, but there are always risks with any new tech, right?
100%. And to their credit, they're very upfront about that in the white paper. They're not making any guarantees, and they clearly state that this isn't financial advice.
Which is good to see.
Totally. They're not shying away from the volatility of the crypto market. In fact, they encourage everyone to do their own research and talk to a financial advisor.
Always good advice. So where does this leave us? BlockDAG is clearly a super ambitious project. It could be huge, but will it deliver on its promises?
Who knows? Only time will tell.
But it's definitely an exciting development in the blockchain space. One thing's for sure, it's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out.
I'm with you there. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into BlockDAG. We hope this has given you plenty to think about. Remember, keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next episode.